All right, happy Thanksgiving to all. Yes, we do have a Thanksgiving stream because it was actually a perfect day localized for the Texans. It is the locker room, number one source for Texans digital content. Hope you're nice and full, nice and whatever. If you had to work on Thanksgiving, there wasn't much traffic. So that is the bright side. Texans last week, we're going to localize this. Shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring the video. By the way, if you rode along on the Sleeper higher lower, you won today. So congratulations to you because we did win the Thanksgiving Day pick. We also have the Texans ready to go as well. We got Tyler Warren higher, Nick Chubb higher, and a Nico Collins touchdown is what we got. If you want to play Sleeper and capitalize on the best sports app in the game when it comes to scores and everything, $20 entry, no deposit needed. Get a 100% match up to $100. Use that promo code Locker. And today was a perfect day for the Texans. It was a perfect Thanksgiving day for the Texans. You had a couple of things happen. One of which impacts Sunday and perhaps impacts the way we look at the other path to the playoffs. And the other one, the most realistic path at the moment, it goes perfect. The Kansas City Chiefs, they lose. So now you're a game up on them, half game up on them, however you want to look at it. Heading into Sunday, you got a chance to end their season in 10 days. You're going to get a desperate team, but you got a chance to end their season and have the tiebreaker over them. And the Baltimore Ravens, Joe Burrow returns, and the Baltimore Ravens look lost. They look broken. And you're basically 2 games up on them because you already possess that tiebreaker. So things couldn't have gone perfect, more perfect for the Texans on Thanksgiving. I'll give a couple localized Thanksgiving obs in a sec because there was some stuff that I found kind of entertaining today that I think we can localize and tie back to the Texans. But let's talk about the other piece of news that happened today with the Texans. And that is the news out of Indianapolis that Daniel Jones is very hurt. A lot of people were questioning Daniel Jones, whether he was healthy or not. But now we get news that Daniel Jones is dealing with a broken fibula or some sort of broken fibula. And I don't know how big this is or not. They're saying he's still going to play. I would just imagine that that's not ideal. That's not ideal for a guy whose one of his top strengths is being mobile, and a guy who we already had questions about. That's not ideal. Daniel Jones is hurt. And not being mobile against this Texans defense, we've already heard D'Amico Ryans talk about Daniel Jones. I speak D'Amico. He's always going to be respectful. He's never really going to publicly disrespect a player or a coach or anything. He basically said that Daniel Jones is a product of Shane Steichen's system. If you read between the lines, that's my translation. That's how I took it. He said, and we talked about it yesterday if you want to go back and look, but D'Amico said that Daniel Jones, he gets guys, he's hitting the open guy. There's scheming guys around him, and he basically has good players around him. That he didn't say anything about his skills. We listen to every word that D'Amico Ryans says. I have listened to literally since D'Amico Ryans has been head coach of the Texans, from the day he was introduced to every press conference that he's had. I've listened to every single word. I feel like I have a decent grasp of what D'Amico Ryans means sometimes when he says things. Now, I don't always agree with what D'Amico says, but I can speak D'Amico at a decent level, and I do not think that he has the utmost respect for the talent that Daniel Jones has. And that is before we got the news today, the official news today, that he's dealing with what he's dealing with. And I heard Pendergast, who you can hear and see with me on the Texans Collective every Monday, I heard him talking about the fibula, and that's basically the injury that Terrell Owens had, that the heroic effort playing with the broken leg in the Super Bowl. That's basically what Daniel Jones is dealing with. And he's not T.O. and he plays a position where he's going to have to run for his life. So this is crazy news for the Texans. Their backup, we've seen Indianapolis have backups, like serviceable backups, to where they've been able to maybe stay afloat a little bit. Their backup's Riley Leonard out of Notre Dame. And I know they have Anthony Richardson too, but I wouldn't be too concerned about that either. But if you don't believe me, I while we were talking, I pulled up the DeMeco Ryans. Listen to what he says. He's asked about Daniel Jones. What has Daniel Jones done well? Listen to what he says. It's all about his surroundings. He's basically saying that he's a product of a system. Let's hear from DeMeco.
I think Daniel's done a really nice job, and Shane, along with Daniel, they've done a nice job of, scheming it up to where the first guy is open a lot for him, right? And he's able to deliver the ball very quickly. So he's really taking advantage of that, guys being open. And I feel like he's doing a just really good job of just managing the offense. If it's not there, you don't see him make a ton of bad decisions, with the football. He's not turning the ball over a ton. And I think that's a huge improvement for him. And he has a really great supporting cast around him. And they're all playing well together. They do a really great job on first down. They stay out of third and long. So they're managing drives really well.
All right. Those are the three biggest insults that you give quarterbacks. We talk about quarterbacks all the time, and we'll get to CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud's playing. We've known this for a while. CJ Stroud's playing. He's going to speak tomorrow. Okay? They're not officially saying it. He's going to speak tomorrow. It's probably going to be around 1:30. So we'll hear from CJ Stroud. We'll hear how he's dealing with things. He's playing. Okay? He's out of the concussion protocol thing will be announced tomorrow. Full participant today. We've been saying this all week. But what he just said about Daniel Jones, and shout out to everyone in the chat. Nomad is here. Of course he is. The biggest Texans psycho. I mean that nicely on the internet. You ain't never hate. Swarm. Says Landry putting in work. Happy Thanksgiving. Man, I just ate turkey. I came upstairs. I turned on a mic and a computer. Got practice at 11. But no, this is fun times. This is good times. Y'all know I don't miss streams no matter what the situation is. It's been the case for a while now. But just listen to what DeMeco said. And we talked about this yesterday, but I think it's relevant because it's tied to the news that Daniel Jones is hurt. This is DeMeco talking about Daniel Jones during the best stretch, I would say probably the best stretch of relevant football that he's played. I know in New York you get a lot of attention. I know he's been to the playoffs, but these are the three things that he said. And these are the three things you say when you're basically saying that a quarterback sucks. They're systeming guys open up. So product of a system. He's managing the game. And the supporting cast around him is good. In DeMeco, which I speak, as we've confirmed, that basically means this guy sucks. That basically means this guy sucks. He didn't say that about Josh Allen. He didn't say that about Baker Mayfield. He didn't say that about Matthew Stafford. I don't even think he says that about Trevor Lawrence. Like there's something good that he says about those guys. He thinks Daniel Jones sucks. And I'm not sitting here saying whether I agree with him. I think Daniel Jones is probably the best quarterback that Shane Steichen's had. But in DeMeco basically just said the dude sucks. And the dude that DeMeco thinks sucks now has a hurt fibula. Now, they still have some weapons around him. They still have some QB-friendly weapons. They still have one of the best running backs in the game. They still have one of the best tight ends in the game. I still think they have some of the best receivers in the game. They got a good offensive line. My boy's actually the coach of the offensive line. Shout out to Tony Sperano Jr. Rest in peace, Tony Sperano Sr. But DeMeco knows quarterbacks. And he thinks this guy sucks. And this is before the injury. So this is some crazy news. On top of the two teams that you want to losing, and then getting this is some crazy news. DeMeco Ryans, I heard DeMeco Ryans didn't even eat today. I heard DeMeco Ryans actually fasted on Thanksgiving. His wife cooked a big-ass dinner, and DeMeco Ryans actually fasted on Thanksgiving. Because he's going to save his feast for Sunday. He has no respect for Daniel Jones. He just shut down Josh Allen. DeMeco is going to feast on Daniel Jones. At least he believes that. A lot of people believed it before this. But now Daniel Jones is hurt. Now Daniel Jones is hurt. Now, Nick G says he said the same thing about Sam Darnold. I don't think he thinks Sam Darnold's that great, but he had some good things to say about Sam Darnold. He talked about him making plays, extending plays, all that. I was there for that. Now, he did mention the scheme and stuff a little bit when it was the revival, but there was at least like direct compliments about what Sam Darnold does. D'Amico thinks Daniel Jones sucks, and so do a lot of people. And now Daniel Jones is hurt. So that's where that is, and that's where the Texans are when it comes to feasting. We'll get to the localized Thanksgiving thoughts in a sec. Shout out to everyone. Hope you're having a happy Thanksgiving. Practice schedule for tomorrow, 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock practice. The injury report today looks relatively clean. I would say the one thing to keep an eye on when it comes to the injury report, Trent Brown. Like, I've been anticipating Trent Brown being injured just because I didn't even think he would be able to play a full game. He's played 3. He was limited, so that's probably the most relevant thing to keep an eye on. Obviously, if he's not able to go, they'll bump Titus back to right tackle. Ingram will be the right guard, and then we'll do this whole thing all over again. But if Trent Brown is there, I think for the first time, we'll get consecutive weeks with the same offensive line, and we'll get CJ Stroud behind an offensive line that he hasn't really played with. I want to talk about that a little bit too, because there's the dialogue about CJ and taking over at quarterback. I think there's 2 things that we need to keep in mind when it comes to comparing the quarterback situation with Davis Mills and the quarterback situation with CJ Stroud. So we'll get to that in a sec, but the injury report, relatively clean. Be sure to subscribe, ride along, like the video for sure. Big announcement, SNO, we're going to be at Spanky's twice next month. We're also going to be at another surprise location up north, and we're going to pull a 2-piece there too. So we will be out every Friday next month, except the 26th. We're pushing the Spanky's visit to January 2nd. So I said twice next month, the 2nd. So January 2nd and December 12th will be at Spanky's Sharpstown. So we hope to see you there for that. Last time it was pretty packed. There were a lot of people excited about the Texans and all that. So we'll be out there again, Spanky's, on the December 12th and January 2nd. You ain't never hate. Swarm. Evan says, let's hit Daniel Jones low, go after the 5th. Damn, man. What's wrong with you, Evan? Why are you being so mean? D'Amico probably doesn't want him to hit him too hard. The way that D'Amico talks about him, D'Amico thinks he sucks. D'Amico probably wants to bring him like a pillow or something like that. He might want Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter to get to him and then start giving him like a massage. You can't use massage jokes. You know what I mean, though. Just keep him upright. Massage. Is it too soon for that? Evan says Daniel Jones on a stretcher week 13. Little Riley Leonard action. Yeah, the Daniel Jones. I will say this, though, and I do think this is important to mention. Tayswell says, I was craving Spanky's yesterday. Glad y'all are hosting another show there. Yeah, the Italian, the pasta is the way to go. They were actually making holiday lasagnas, chicken Alfredo lasagnas too, chicken Alfredo and traditional lasagnas. I think I'm going to have to take advantage of that in December. Get some holiday lasagna. Spanky's, that stuff's good. Stuff goes in. So the other thing that I do want to bring up, and this is where you kind of lose control of your own destiny because of the start that you had, you being the Texans, is while the Daniel Jones thing is beneficial for the Texans, the fact that he's banged up and the fact that D'Amico obviously thinks he sucks, there's some more food for thought too, beyond Sunday and beyond the Texans, as we take our eyes off our own paper. Jacksonville hasn't played Indy yet either. So the Jags have one of the easier schedules in the league down the stretch. And if you factor in that Daniel Jones may not be playing for the Colts, you look at the Jags schedule and they have the Titans twice, the Colts with a banged up Daniel Jones twice, and they have the Jets. And they're ahead of you slightly. Arizona could have really helped the Texans last week, and they did not. So as much as this Daniel Jones news is big, the other team that you're competing with to kind of chase the Colts, and you're really chasing them in the wild card too. So this is kind of a double-edged sword. They got the Titans twice, they got the Colts without Daniel Jones twice, and they got the Jets. So that's something else to keep in mind. And that goes back to, if you could have just won one more game, if you could have beat Jacksonville when Nico Collins fumbled, if you could have beat the Rams when Dare Ogunbowale fumbled, if you could have tackled Baker Mayfield when he scrambled on fourth down. It's that game of inches cliche that we hear a lot from coaches. And that's the other thing. Like, as much as this Daniel Jones thing, and the Texans, I guess when it comes to the playoffs, control their own destiny, but the Jags, they are ahead of them right now. So that's the other part of this, and that's a little Thanksgiving food for thought. We'll call it leftovers here. Backup stats. Could I interest you in some stats? The Texans are 3-0 with a backup quarterback, and they're 2-0 versus backup quarterbacks. They completely pummeled the 49ers. They completely pummeled the Ravens, and they were 3-0 with Davis Mills at quarterback. I'm bringing this up because we watched Cincinnati today, and we watched what kind of football team they are with Joe Burrow. And we already knew this. We've seen this for a long time, but they're a really, really good football team with Joe Burrow. Even the defense looks different. Like, everything looks different with Joe Burrow out there. He is hurt more times than not, which kind of is an issue. Like, it's not like an all shucks type of thing with Joe Burrow, but they're a different football team. Problem is, they didn't have a backup quarterback, and they completely crumbled whenever Joe Burrow was in there. You can say the same with the Ravens, although Lamar Jackson kind of looks broken right now too. And they look lost right now, and they look relatively broken as well. The Texans kind of deserve some credit for a couple of things. First of all, taking advantage of backup quarterbacks when they face them, and keeping the ship right when CJ Stroud is out. Because Cincinnati would have died to have a Davis Mills. Hell, they tried to bring in the ghost of Joe Flacco and started off nicely, and then it just kind of fell off. But if they would have had someone hold it down like that, I don't think that's a team that anyone really would want to face around this time. Now, they can also do the Texans some favors, because they're facing some teams that perhaps the Texans will be competing with in this playoff race down the stretch that we speak of. But I do think there deserves to be a little bit of credit for the Texans for taking advantage of that opportunity, and then taking advantage of the adversity that they dealt with. Evan's back. You ain't never hate. Swarm on the chat. He says, "Sorry, Landry woke up violent today on Turkey Day." It's Colts week, brother. Colts week. Everybody's violent on Colts week. I'm not judging you for that. Ain't nothing to be ashamed of. But Daniel Jones, yeah, banged up. I'm sure. I mean, they're not going to take it easy on him. That's for damn sure. It ain't going to happen. Frank Z says the Chiefs look beatable. They do, but they're also going to be desperate. And we also know that they're probably not going to go down easy, and the Texans have had some problems there. So next week, the Chiefs, it's going to be basically their season on the line. We don't know whether the Texans are going to beat the Colts or not. Either way, you have a chance to end the Chiefs. And the crazy thing is, if the Texans take care of Daniel Jones and they take care of the Colts, then next week, not only can you beat the Chiefs, you could be 3 games up on them, because you'll have the tiebreaker. So you'll be up 2 or 3 games up on them to where they can't catch you. And the other thing about the Chiefs is the other teams in the playoff picture they've lost to, so they don't really have the tiebreaker over anyone. They're not going to win their division. So the Texans have a chance next week. Who knows what happens with the Texans? There's still going to be a lot of business that they're going to have to take care of. But you look at the schedule, 10 wins is what I've laid out they need to have. You need 10 to have a chance to get in. I've said this stat. I'm going to wear this stat the F out for the remainder of the season. Last year, 15 teams had 10 wins. Only 1 didn't get into the playoffs. 15 teams had 10 wins. Only one didn't get into the playoffs. So that's what you're looking at, and that's what you're looking to do. But if you look at the schedule, right now you're 6-5. You beat the Colts, you beat the Chiefs, then I don't want to say it's smooth sailing, but you got the Cardinals, you got the Raiders, and then you got the Colts again. You're sitting pretty good. And you got the Chargers, who you'll be competing with. So the next 10 days are going to be crazy. And it starts with the hobbled Daniel Jones. You're just tuning in. Daniel Jones banged up fibula. So that's where he is at. No, a lot of y'all are looking for some to get some shopping done. This is the season where you spend money. This is also the season where you want to save money. And TDECU has you covered when it comes to that with that fresh new Texans debit card, fresh new logo on the debit card, and 15% off Texans gear with the TDECU debit card. If you want to get in that game, I know Cody Stutz has it. You go to tdecu.org/Texans. Sign up. They got you covered. Those aren't all the perks. There's plenty. If you don't want the Texans debit card, they got the Cougs debit card. They got the Buckies debit card. And they do a lot of good stuff in the community. I know they work with CJ Stroud, who we'll talk about in a second. They work with the Cougs, and they work with SNL. We're very lucky to have them as the sponsor of Reaction Monday and the Locker Room and Houston Football. So shout out to the greatness that is TDECU. Go to tdecu.org/Texans. Membership required, insured by the NCUA. We'll get to this CJ stuff in a sec. Let's go back to the chat here on Thanksgiving. You ain't never hate. Swarm. Archer Wad 1. He says, is it smart to play Jones against this D-line? If they think he can go, sure. I don't know that beggars can be choosers at this point for the Colts. I don't know that they do have a little bit of room. But if they think he can go, we'll see. I look at Daniel Jones as someone whose mobility is like one of his best traits. And it's not really optional against the Texans unless you're just going back and handing it to Jonathan Taylor. So I don't know if D'Amico attacks this a little bit differently. We already know that he thinks he sucks because I speak D'Amico, but who knows? Evan again says, hey, Kaylee, when you're 3 possessions, go for it on 4th down. Do not pull a Bill O'Brien in 2019. I will crash out. I got a feeling Nick's going to make you crash out a time or two. Nick. I don't know about this Kaylee fella. I don't know about this guy. Not really too high on him at the moment. So I want to get to some localized Thanksgiving obs because there were a few. I think there's a few lessons, and I think the Nick Kaylee comment is kind of a good start for what I had. Localized thought number 1 is assistant coaches matter. And you look at the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions, the last 2 years, they've had elite coordinators. Now, I know Aaron Glenn's not getting off to the best start with the Jets, the former Texan cornerback. But Ben Johnson right now, who I would say was probably the best coach on the Lions staff, he was able to scheme to where a lot of Dan Campbell's stupidity, which is my next observation, and it's now league-wide, but it was able to be masked. The stupidity was able to be masked, and the bit was presented almost as some sort of positive, this reckless aggressiveness that Dan Campbell possessed. But you look at what happened when Ben Johnson left the Lions and went to the Bears. Bears are now in first place, and the Lions are fighting for their playoff lives. They've already had 2 guys call plays this year, and I think that to localize that, you look at the Texans, they really haven't had a really, really solid offensive coordinator in the last 2 years. Bobby Slowick had a good first year, but when you look at that, like just imagine like if the Texans would be able to find a guy like a Ben Johnson and what that can do. I think this is proof. You can make a case that CJ Stroud hasn't really had a awesome coordinator in his entire time. Who knows how much that has to do with him, with Slowick, and why he fell off so bad. But assistant coaches do matter. So that's localized lesson number 1. I mentioned the 4th down decisions, and I just got to say this. Maybe I'm going to sound like an old get off my lawn type of guy, but 4th down decisions are on crack right now. The end of that game 1, where Matt LaFleur went for it on 4th and 3 from midfield after the 2-minute warning, that was dumb as hell. I don't care if it worked. I don't care if there's all these big balls memes of Matt LaFleur afterwards. That was stupid. That was absolutely stupid. And I think the world is getting stupid now, because I said that I thought that was dumb. And someone, I won't even say who, I don't know who it was. I think it's someone who has like a screen name on Twitter or something like that. But they sent me this graph. And if this is what we're basing 4th down decisions on, then we are living in just a complete world of stupid. All right, this is a 4th decision bot account. And it's automated by someone named Ben B. Baldwin. So shout out to him. So this is the stat that they put out that people are actually believing. And I think analytics, I think it's been generalized, and basically every decision is blamed on analytics. But if anyone in their right mind believes that going for it in that situation versus punting is a difference in 2% of winning, then there's no hope for you. Like, anyone that believes that, there is no hope for you. Zero hope. Green Bay is 60% on 4th down conversions. Punting with under 2 minutes left, with the other team not having a timeout, down 7, you have a better chance of winning than going for it on 4th and 3. It's one of the that's one of the dumbest things that I've seen. So I don't know who comes up with these stats and these numbers, but people are quoting them like they're the gospel. It's moronic. It's out of control. It's absolutely moronic. And I actually like how D'Amico Ryans a lot of times leans towards kicking the field goal. But someone sent me that, and I was like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever looked at. It's the stupidest thing I've ever looked at. It ignores any variables, and whatever the hell that is, the way that adds up is way contrary to what common sense is. That's just dumb. Drives me crazy. Get off my lawn. Speaking of my lawn, I love my lawn. You know why? Because it's Texans turf. Shout out to Dan the man. Texans turf. Got the fire going tomorrow for that Texas A&M game. After I go to Texans practice, I'm going to stop at the store. I'm going to get some grub. I'm going to try to not make it too Thanksgiving-y. I'm going to try to do like a big contrary thing. I'm going to eat. I'm going to watch football from the beginning of the night to the end, showcased with that Texas A&M game. And then we're going to light a fire, and I'm going to enjoy my Texans turf. They customize it perfectly. The drainage is perfect. They even handle the fences. They square up the fences for you at the bottom. So it's absolutely perfect. The weather's getting there, and it's just the perfect time to get Texans turf. A lot of neighbors, a lot of viewers, a lot of listeners, they've done it as well. Home value increases, neighbors jealous, no more mud, anything like that. No matter where you live, he's got you covered. He's not going to treat you like crap like a lot of these other guys do. Putting greens, play areas, whatever you want, Dan's got you covered. Dan the man, TexansTurf.com. Check them out. Next observation as we go through the localized Thanksgiving odds. The worst thing about the NFL right now. And I am so glad the Texans are on Sunday Night Football next week, because I was worried they were going to be the CBS game of the week. I love the NFL. I think the NFL has the most week-to-week magnitude. I think the entire week buildup, which we live here from Mondays off, Tuesday, coaches talking, or Wednesday, coaches talking, injury reports, all that. We live it to where a lot of people that follow this channel, a lot of people that follow SNL, 4 o'clock, myself, Cody Stutes, you know when the coaches are talking and stuff like that. That's the beauty of the NFL. Like Joe Burrow, what Joe Burrow just did, went out there and played, and Cincinnati played hard. That doesn't happen in the NBA. That doesn't happen in the MLB. There's magnitude, there's drama, there's fantasy football, there's gambling, the atmosphere. Everything's better during football season. The NFL's awesome. Even when we're bitching about stuff, it's not that bad in the big scheme of things. But there is one thing that absolutely sucks, and it's the worst thing about the NFL right now. It is unbelievably bad. And we had to experience it today during this triple header. It needs to stop. It needs to stop. Tony Romo is the worst thing about the NFL right now. What in the hell is that? You want to talk about somebody just getting a lot of money and then just half-assing and clearly just showing and going? Jim Nantz is a Houston legend. Jim Nantz is Houston royalty. And he's having to deal with this guy just rambling, talking out of his ass, saying one thing, contradicting it the next, saying other things, stepping over calls. CBS lost the SEC this year for the Big Ten. That's a loss. And then they brought in, they gave Tony Romo the bag after 1 year. Who were you competing with for this guy? He's the worst. Chris Collinsworth took the day off tonight, and they let Jason Garrett do color commentary. I don't even think Jason Garrett's good at color commentary, but you know what? He sounded like effing John Madden minutes after I listened to Tony Romo. I actually thought Jason Garrett was awesome. I had to gather myself and say, dude, you just listened to Tony Romo. Look, Chiefs fans, this is the golden age for the Chiefs. And I'm not sitting here talking about it past tense. This might be a down year for the Chiefs. The dynasty, they might have to readjust. They might have to reinvent themselves, much like the Patriots did. And I don't feel sorry for Chiefs fans a lot because they've lived a hell of a life. And this is whether you're an OG Chiefs fan, whether you're a young Chiefs fan, whether you're one of those people that just happen to jump on the Chiefs bandwagon, whatever. I don't feel sorry for y'all a lot because 0.05% of people actually experience runs like this. But, man, I feel bad for y'all that y'all are always the CBS game and you have to listen to Tony Romo this much. It sucks. It's terrible. It's bad for the game. It's a disgrace to broadcasting. It's a disgrace to football. It's clear he doesn't do anything. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. It's the worst thing about the NFL right now. I don't even know what's in the discussion. I don't even know what's in the discussion to put like as crappy as what Tony Romo is. It's pathetic. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. There's no way this guy puts in over an hour of time to even broadcast. It's terrible. It's the worst. It's the worst thing going. Goodness gracious, it's bad. And I keep trying to pull myself in and like reel it in and say, oh man, you're being too hard. No, he's terrible. He's awful. He's awful. It's terrible. It's so bad. So bad. So bad. Also, localized Chiefs obs or Thanksgiving obs. The Chiefs are blank. If I asked you to fill in the blank, what would you say about the Chiefs? The Chiefs are blank. Done? Do you think the Chiefs are done? How confident are you the Chiefs won't make a run and somehow back into the playoffs? It's going to be tough with the limited tiebreakers they have. Dynasty done? Probably, I would say. If I had to fill this in, I would say the Chiefs are, and this is multiple words, they're going to have to reinvent themselves. They're going to have to reinvent themselves like a lot of dynasties did, or else it's going to be done. Cowboys of the 90s, they were unable to really reinvent themselves. Didn't really happen. Patriots, they were able to. Tom Brady actually went a decent amount of time without winning a Super Bowl, and they reinvented themselves. Chiefs have actually done that the last few years, but they're going to have to do it, and quite frankly, they're probably going to have to do it without Travis Kelce. I thought the Chiefs were going to be able to flip the switch and reinvent themselves with all the speed they have at receiver, and it does seem like Rice and Mahomes have something going that they can kind of build on, and Xavier Worthy, I think he'll end up being more of a factor there, just kind of on and off the football field. But the Travis Kelce factor is dead. And that's really been one of the biggest constants that the Chiefs have had. And it's a father time thing. Like, he's still a decent tight end, but we're talking about one of the best tight ends that we've ever seen. And now they're going to have to figure stuff out because he's on the back end. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the last year Travis Kelce plays football. And then who knows what happens? I won't hear anything from him anymore. I'm sure that he's going to be doing, who knows? He'll probably be in like every movie possible and whatever. But as far as playing football, as far as the bread and butter, that's gone. Now maybe they end up effing around and getting Sadiq out of Oregon or something, and then all of a sudden Mahomes has another guy for the back half of his career to throw to. Who knows? But the Chiefs got to reinvent themselves. The switch flipping that I thought was going to happen, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. And they're on their last breath when it comes to 2025. That's big picture stuff. But they're on their last breath when it comes to 2025, and the Texans are going to have an opportunity, whether they beat the Colts or not, to put them out of their misery. But the Chiefs are a crazy, crazy, crazy existence right now. It's actually really crazy to look at. Tazewell brings up another one. Lamar Jackson played horrible tonight. He's hurt. He's broken. It is not good for Lamar Jackson. This is the worst he's been. I think this was his first 3+ turnover game since 2021. Lamar looks broken. Baltimore looks broken. We talked about heading into this season. We talked about Chiefs, Bills, Ravens as the teams that you're kind of chasing. Two of them, they look terrible today. Buffalo, the Texans beat them. So the whole league, the AFC is wide open. But the Chiefs the Chiefs just look rough. Do I think that the Chiefs can beat the Texans? Yeah, I do. I mean, stranger things have happened. But I think it's gonna be a good game. They still got to handle the Colts before that. But kind of crazy when you look at what's going on with the Chiefs. They're Travis Kelce. It's gone. It's over. It's through. Happens. Hall of Famer. Who knows where he goes from there? But it was a perfect Thanksgiving again to reset. Daniel Jones banged up. D'Amico already thinks he stinks. Chiefs pushed him back. Kill him next week. It's over for this year. If the Texans can beat the Chiefs next week, whether they win or lose, you're going to have a 2-game lead. If you lose and you go back to get the same record as the Chiefs, 6-6, next week will basically be for wild card. If the Texans lose the next 2, then their season's over when it comes to making the playoffs. But the Chiefs,
playoffs,
they also got the extra rest, which Texans got heading into Indianapolis. So we'll see what that goes. As far as the Texans, we'll put our eyes back on our own paper after taking them off and doing the localized stuff. Trent Brown, is he going to be able to go? That's the number one question. So tomorrow's injury report's going to drop probably about 4 o'clock. SNL will be live at 4 o'clock. We'll probably get a decent idea of Trent Brown. I would bet that he's questionable. I don't know if he's going to be a full go tomorrow or not. They might list him as questionable. But that's really injury-wise what we got to look at. Spoiler alert, CJ Stroud's playing. Jalen Petry's probably playing. So we'll hear CJ Stroud will have a press conference tomorrow. That's going to happen. Pretty positive on that. D'Amico, the injury stuff in this instance, D'Amico's actually gotten better at it. I don't think he's being as weird as he has been, but on the concussion protocol, it's a tough spot to be in. You can't say nothing. You can't say nothing. It doesn't work like that Will Smith concussion movie. Tell the truth. Can't do that. But the Trent Brown thing will be something to take a look at. Now, here is the CJ Stroud thing that I think perhaps you should keep in mind when he goes on the field and when we watch this offensive line block in front of him. And there's two reminders that I want to bring up, because pressure rate has kind of been something that we've kind of focused on a lot around here. And let's be honest, whenever you see some of the numbers that we were seeing with CJ Stroud with the pressure rate, I mean, it's kind of crazy. Even with the variable that I'm about to mention, it's kind of crazy. Like when you get to half, that's pretty high. When you get to the 40s, which seemed like it was kind of a consistent thing last year, I actually think Cole Popovich has done a decent job this year as the offensive line coach. I think they've gotten better, even with a little bit of weirdness in between. But when you start seeing the 40s, 50s, that's just crazy. That's just crazy. But I do think there's something that does need to be brought up, because the Davis Mills, the way the offensive line has looked, it's kind of been brought up by, I don't want to say CJ Stroud apologists, but yeah, CJ Stroud apologists and a lot of people maybe foolishly have brought up, oh, this offensive line is blocking better for Davis Mills than it did for CJ Stroud. We've got to remember this. We've got to remember this. And I don't know whether this is a good thing or a bad thing, but one of the biggest talking points that CJ Stroud has talked about and that others have talked about is more control at the line of scrimmage. They don't do that in San Francisco in that system. Now there's branches off of that system where they do that. Like you see Matthew Stafford in LA, he does it. And that's kind of like the McVay Shanahan type of system. Brock Purdy doesn't do that. Kyle Shanahan calls play, go to line of scrimmage, run play. Same thing CJ Stroud when he had one of the best rookie seasons of all time, and really kind of what he did last year when he had the quote sophomore slump. This year we were talking about, and we've now established this is basically the New England system. Nick Caserio kind of got us a little bit. Nick. He brought in his boy Nick Caley, and that's the system that they're running. And in that system, the quarterback a lot of times does control the line of scrimmage and they control the protection. So it is a reminder that if you think that the offensive line is blocking better, and if you think that they seem more equipped and they seem to pick up blitzes better and all that, in this system, the QB can help or hurt the offensive line. So let's not forget what we were talking about before. And that is kind of a factor, because you already know that there's going to be like side-by-side pressure rate of Mills and all that. And I also think you can factor in the personnel, the offensive line, the players, the alignment. They haven't really had it in consecutive weeks fully, but maybe Trent Brown at right tackle is what the doctor ordered, and that's what they need. But just a reminder that in this system, the QB can help or hurt the offensive line. That's what we were talking about. So let's not forget that conveniently, if that is an issue when CJ returns. Now, here's the other thing, though. And here's the other thing that I think needs to be factored in, and this needs to be taken into account. The next thing that needs to be taken into account is the CJ Stroud holding the ball payoff. And a lot of times when CJ Stroud takes a sack, it might be frustrating, but there's a lot of times where he holds the ball and he makes a play that few quarterbacks in the league can actually make. So there's a trade-off for it. Like you look at pressure rate, some of the best quarterbacks in the league kind of have higher pressure rates. And then when their backups go in, the pressure rate is lower because the backup's not capable of making those plays. So there is going to be a trade-off with CJ Stroud, and unless he's just in a rhythm and he's getting rid of the ball quickly. But I don't want to get to a point where CJ Stroud is completely eliminating his ability to extend plays. And sometimes that results in a sack. Now, do you want him running backwards into 18-yard sacks? Like in the case against Seattle where he ran back and it should have been a safety. And there have been a couple of times where he's kind of played with fire there. You would like to kind of balance that out. But it's also kind of the trade-off that comes with CJ Stroud's style and the way that things go. So let's just keep that in mind, like when we're doing this side by side and comparing the offensive line and all that type of stuff. I do think it's possible that he's coming back to the best 5. Now, I don't know how good that 5 is. I don't think it's like a top of the league offensive line. But let's just understand there is a give or take where the quarterback can have the offensive line ready to go. And there is some responsibility for the protection on the quarterback. Some would say too much. Again, we talked about the CJ Stroud, more power, more authority at the line of scrimmage. It was being talked about as if that's like a foregone conclusion. It's a good thing. I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. But the one thing that I do know is a good thing is he does have an ability to extend plays, and he does have an ability to make plays when he holds on to the ball for a while. And let's just realize that sometimes with the bad comes the good, with the good comes the bad. I don't think you want to eliminate that. So yes, that is something to at least keep in mind when it comes to the CJ Stroud factor and returning behind this offensive line. It's good, bad. See some people in the chat saying, yeah, he runs back. Yes, he does. Sometimes it's a little bit crazy how backwards he goes. Sometimes like the sack yardage loss, it's pretty high. But yeah, that's where they're at. Dominic says he has a hot take. I don't even know what this is, but I will read the hot take. Dominic says, hot take, CJ's on a short lease and Davis Mills comes into the game in the third quarter if CJ doesn't play well in the first half. There's zero chance. CJ Stroud could throw 3 interceptions in the first half and Davis Mills is not coming in. So there is no short leash. That does not exist. He's the starting quarterback. They got to figure out if it's going to work with him and Nick Caley, and that's the way it is. He throws 3 interceptions. They're going to bring him out there in the second half. So there's no scenario where CJ Stroud gets benched. It's done. Texans Rangers says Mills operates better with this O-line. Indeed, Mills can read defenses by 3 to 4 quarter and he slices them up. I don't know about slices them up, but yeah, I would say that there's a chance that in the pre-snap crap that this New England system calls for, there's a chance that Davis Mills is better at putting guys in the right spot than CJ Stroud. There's a decent chance. Freaking nerd, man. He's like a science major from Stanford that graduated in 3 years. And the biggest knock on this system that we've talked about has been it's like taking an effing test sometimes. It's annoying. But yeah, if you're talking about the nerdy stuff and the film study and geeky stuff, yeah, there's a chance that he is better. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you should start him. Like if this system is better equipped for Davis Mills, isn't that as much of a knock on the system as it is anything else? Like you got to maximize what you got with CJ. That's what they're going to try to do. Blue Boy says Trent Brown has done wonders for the O-line as well. He's done a good job. He's done a hell of a job. I'm surprised that he's able to walk, quite frankly. If I were 6'10", 400, good Lord. And yeah, he's over 400. He's not 380. They're being very nice to him there. Or mean. I mean, if you're 6'10", 400, you want him to list you at 4+, or would you want him to put 380? I want the 4 bills, man. Got to give me the 4 bills. You got to put John McClain-Bush. Got to get the accurate weight. He ain't 380. I promise you that. That's for sure. But there's no quarterback controversy. There's nothing like that. It's not. That's not what it is. We're 3 sleeps away from game day. James G. Davis Mills take. Man, is that a lab? Can't tell what kind of dog that is. Got the fang right there. I don't know whether to be scared or want to pet that dog. James says Mills also tends to force the ball to Nico, whereas CJ always goes for the right play, even if it isn't to Nico. I think that's what CJ can take from watching Mills film. Now, I want to specify. This year, you're right. This year, you're right. In this system, you're right. Maybe CJ was trying too hard to just go to the open guy. But let's be real. Whether CJ was having a record-setting rookie season or he was having a, quote, sophomore slump, Nico was always a dog. And he knew how to feed Nico, especially against the Colts. Nico kind of owns the Colts. So I do agree with you that maybe watching Davis Mills, CJ can realize, okay, I can force it to Nico. Me and Jaden Higgins can get on the same page. He's capable of balling out. I know, and I'm speaking like I'm CJ. I know that I trusted him early in Los Angeles against the Rams, threw him a 50-50 ball, and he got completely punked, got it ripped away. But he's shown that he's a dog, and maybe I trust him a little bit. But let's be I think, James, I think you're just talking about this year. I would say you're right. But the good news on that is CJ and Nico have chemistry. They've shown, even through the bad times with Bobby Slowick, they've shown. Matter of fact, the fall off was a lot of last year started.
Damn it, Bobby.
When Nico went down for that month. But I do agree with you this year. Nico Collins was very unproductive. I think Nico Collins was like the most popular guy on last place fantasy teams. A lot of people pissed off they took him in that first round. Texans Ranger says can only pray CJ studies Mills game film. Come on. 22 VA says you saying they won't play Mills regardless of how CJ does is silly. LOL. No, it's not silly. It's a fact. They're not benching CJ. Nothing silly about it. That's just what it is. I thought Davis Mills started out very nicely against the Jags. I thought it was an elite performance. They didn't get down because of him, but that's what they're doing. It's short term and it's long term. There's nothing silly about it. It's fact. It's what it is. They're not benching CJ Stroud no matter what. You think we will get a bomb from Nico? I don't know. I think teams guard CJ now to try to take away the deep ball. I don't know though. The Colts might try to man up a little bit more. I know that they're going to run some zone too, but we'll probably get some one-on-one coverage. They got a really good corner duo. I'm sure that's one of the things that the Colts are kind of stressing. They got a good corner duo. We got a good corner duo. Sauce Stingley, we've talked about that a lot. Probably want to show out. So I don't know if they'll get the bomb. Like if you're thinking about like the early type of vibe, then yeah. 22 Forever says Davis Mills rejuvenated this team. Yes, he did. He did his thing. But it's CJ squad. They rallied around Davis Mills. They won 3 games, but it's CJ's team. I'm not saying whether that's means that I'm not sitting here saying that CJ is Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or Joe Burrow or probably not good timing to say Lamar Jackson, but you know what I mean. I'm not saying that, but it's his squad. D'Amico's made that clear. So I don't know what to tell you. Just a fact. It's not even like a thing. It's weird to even think that would be a thing. You hold it over to him. Yeah, he got the job done. Good job. Next man up. Boom. Thank you. Next. So that's where that goes. JJ Sugar says people just making stuff up about Mills and it's hilarious. Yeah, he's been fine. Been fine. Done a good job. Good backup. Very good backup. Black Soul. This is some chat on chat crime. At Black_Soul. Anybody who thinks Mills is better than CJ and should start over CJ is delusional. It's a lot of laughing emojis too. Cash Out says CJ will do great with the new personnel on the O-line. That's the other thing about it. Like, he's going to have to obviously control what he can control before the play. You're going to have to take the good with the bad when it comes to holding on to the ball a little bit. Probably be some frustrating moments. But they might be playing their best five. Cole Popovich might have finally found that best five. And my God, what an effing path that was. Now, a lot of that might have had as much to do with Trent Brown not being healthy and not being ready to go at the moment. But, yeah, that's where that was. 320. I know what 320 did today. Goodness gracious, you always know.
High-grade marijuana called Kush on the streets.
He's probably getting a Thanksgiving munchy leftover plate right now. 320. He says you can't take someone's job. You can only earn your job. In sports, like, are you talking about like the Tom Landry, you can't lose your job to injury? You can get handed a job without earning it. Trust me. You can get handed a job without earning it. I don't know. I think 320 might be on that high grade.
High-grade marijuana called Kush on the streets.
So I'm not judging you. I'm not judging. And he said that he just did. He just did go get that plate. See? I already know. I already know. Already knew. So tomorrow, again, to reset it, the 11 o'clock practice will be probably in the stadium. They'll do a walkthrough in the stadium. We'll keep an eye on Trent Brown. He's going to be out there. The injury report will be where we kind of look at that and say, okay, is he questionable? Is he ruled out? Blah, blah, blah. I doubt he would be ruled out. I don't think they would do that at this point, especially if he has a chance to play. We'll hear from CJ probably about 1:30. SNL will be live at 4. And then we'll have the locker room at 10:30. Now, it might be a little bit later. I don't know how long this Texas A&M is going to go. I'm not going to go on during Texas A&M. I'm going to have to be in the zone there. I'm going to have to be zoned up. But just bear with me. 10:30-ish. 10:30-ish. If I need to push it back, I'll push it back. We got Texas A&M tomorrow. It's going to be a fun day. It's going to be a real fun day. It's a fun time. Good day for the Texans. Great Thanksgiving. Again, D'Amico Ryans didn't eat today. He feels like he's going to feast on Daniel Jones, the injured Daniel Jones. So there we go. Eagles, Bears, I have no opinion. I would probably go Eagles. Feels like the Eagles are getting like undervalued now to where wagering on them has value. I might go alternate line Eagles if I were to think about this. Fabian asks a question. We'll get out of here on this. Who's the scariest AFC team right now? Nobody. Nobody's scary. There's some good teams. Like any given Sunday, you can kind of roll your eyes at a lot. But I don't know that there's really a scary team. I thought the scariest team was potentially Mahomes with his speed at receiver. They don't look like the same squad. But the scariest team, I think this is truly a year where nobody's really that scary. And this is as wide open as the AFC has been. And if the Texans can play their way into it, and most importantly, if CJ Stroud can play his best ball, you never know. The teams that you thought were chasing are not there. The Bills are bringing in Brandon Cooks and acting like it's like some sort of F in the East to be discipled. They're acting like that, like that's like some sort of like big pivotal moment. That's how low the Bills are right now. They brought in Brandon Cooks. Oh yeah, what an opportunity. We know how that goes. And that was 3 years ago. Dude's been on what, 30 teams since then? So to answer your question, I don't think there's a scary team. And the teams that you think might eventually become scary, they looked hobbled tonight. They look more dead than your drunk uncle after eating those Thanksgiving leftovers at about 6. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. Talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for joining me on the Thanksgiving stream. We will be live tomorrow, 4 o'clock SNL, 10:30-ish. Don't hold me to it. 10:30-ish after the Texas game right here. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. Always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. What a time to be alive.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, Locker Room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localized. Every angle's what we really do. We the source. We the pulse of the city too. Landlocked. Got the game in the headlock. Localized every time. Can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not too. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days. Opinions to